live at this moment in time. I am just, and I just realized that my emails were on and I wanted to switch those off. So those of you that are watching on the recording, because it's only you really that ever sees this beginning bit, good evening, hello, how are you doing? I'm going to scooch on over to my other page and I'm going to share this video. So if you're watching this on the recording, you could do exactly that and share this video right now if you wanted to. And the reason I do that is because, well, as I've said so many times on here, the whole purpose of me doing these videos, being live on here every Monday night, the reason I made this commitment to you to be here and to show up. So I can't talk and type at the same time. For those of you who have watched me for a while know that. There we go. So yes, so the reason I do these videos and why I've just shared it is because I want to do my very, very best to support people wherever they are and with whatever they've got going on. Because when I first started my personal journey here, no, not here, but when I first started my personal journey, within personal development, probably about 16, 17, 18-ish years ago. Gosh, where has that time gone? With the spiritual development and things, probably more closer to 20, 25 years ago. Gosh, I'm not that old, honestly. But as I've said before, when I first started this, I didn't have any cash. And so I grabbed everything that was free and always made a promise that I would do as many things to help people access it. I don't like finances being the reason that people don't do this. But there's two things that, actually, I don't think I have shared this before. I think there's two things that people need to be aware of where finances are concerned. Because some people might say, well, then why don't I do everything for free? My events and my coaching and my talks, why don't I do everything for free if I feel like that? Well, one, I can't get away with that with the bank managers, with the supermarket, with Amazon and everybody else where I need to buy things to get by in this world that we live in, because that's how it works with how we've got the setup at the moment. But two, also psychologically, people don't actually commit and invest in the same way when something is free versus when they've paid for it. So that's the other reason. It is twofold, and that's why I do this, to at least give people an initial in. But for those of you who are joining me live now, do drop down and say hi whilst I'm having a little bit of a waffle, waiting to for Facebook to let you know that I'm live and for this to be shared. And if you don't feel comfortable, confident enough to say hi, then just give me a little thumbs up. Let me know that you're there. Let me know what's going on. So this evening is the last Monday of the month, and the last Monday of the month always heralds an open question, open forum. And again, one of the reasons why I wanted to do that was to give you the opportunity to not be sat there thinking, oh, well, my question doesn't fit with today's theme, so therefore I can't possibly ask my question. Good evening, Tiffany, my lovely. How are you? And there were some thumbs that just went past a moment ago, so thank you for whoever that was. Yeah, so yeah, I can't ask my question because it doesn't match with tonight's theme. And basically, I wanted to make sure that whatever your question is, you've got the forum to be able to ask it, which is what the open forums on a Monday night are all about. And that's just reminded me, I don't think I've got my phone switched off. No, I haven't. There we go. That is done as well. So whether you are watching this live or whether you are watching the recording, good evening, Caroline. It's lovely to see regulars coming back every week. Either give me some thumbs up or type in and say hello, even if you are watching this on the recording. Last week's conversation seemed to have sparked a lot of comments on the recording, which was great. So I was going back throughout the week and having chats with people. So that was really good. So yeah, whether you're watching it live or not, please don't wait for my permission. If you've got something that you want to ask or share, or something resonates with you or something doesn't resonate with you, don't wait for my permission. Just drop your comment in, and that goes for your questions too. So if you have a specific question that you would like answered this evening, I only have two, and they both, do they both? Yeah, they kind of both relate to me. So I thought I would ask the question that I get asked probably the most. Some of you possibly will already know the answer to this one, but it's one of the questions I get asked the most. And I'm going to aim to answer a question which I haven't directly been asked, but I've been indirectly asked. Now, I suspect that answering both of those is not going to take very much time at all. So if you are watching this live and you have a question, then put it in the questions box now, put it in the comments below. And otherwise, it's going to be a very long half an hour of sitting in silence. I'm happy to do that, unless something else pops, of course. There's something that's just popped up on the other page. Let me just have a look and see if there is anything there that I need to reply to. Okay, so there isn't. That's about something else. So, yeah, usual rules reply on an open forum as they do to any other confidence conversation. Type anytime you like, do thumbs up or the heart emoji to let me know that things are making sense for you. And at any other point, if something doesn't make sense, then please do type away and ask questions and let me know. So, a third thing's just popped into my head. So hopefully if I remember that, I'll do those three things and see if any other questions come in. So the first thing, I can pretty much guarantee that I get asked this every time I do a workshop or a talk, especially if I haven't answered it within the content of the talk or the workshop. And that is usually something along the lines of how and why did I get into coaching? Before I go into that, there's been a number of you just jumped on live. Hello. Do drop down and say hi, let me know where you are. And if you have a question, it's an open forum this evening. So if you have a question, and it could relate to anything, as long as you think it's something that I may be able to answer a question on, then thank you for the likes and the hearts that are coming in. Then please do type away whilst I'm answering the two questions that I do have. So do that. And hello, Kate. How are you doing, my lovely? I hope you're very well. So yeah, how did I get into coaching, or more specifically, why did I get into coaching, is something that I get asked a lot. You've been back in Australia, Vicky. How and why? That's not allowed, surely. Hope you've had an amazing time, my lovely. Sorry, I meant to push my computer back, and it's on some of my art materials, and it's just gone rolling backwards. Good evening, Sophie, as well. I hope you had a great time in Australia. Vicky, I hope you're well. So yeah, how and why did I get into coaching? And I think that quite often people ask that are interested in coaching, what coaching is about and what it can bring for themselves. And I know that when I first discovered coaching, or rather was introduced to coaching, I'd never heard of it. So when I worked in theatre as a stage manager, theatre and television, and pretty much every place I worked other than the BBC didn't have an HR department. So there wasn't an area in the beautiful Cotswolds, Kate. Oh, the Cotswolds are beautiful. Whereabouts in the Cotswolds? I love those. So there was no HR, so there was no focus on personal development or even really professional development, if I'm honest. In most of the environments back then, it may well have changed now, it was very much just crack on and get on with it. So when I left there, and as you may or may not know, I wasn't in a great headspace. I was blaming my external world. I spoke about that last week, on the conversation last week. I was blaming my external world for how bad I felt about myself. And somebody introduced me to coaching as a way of being able to help me get out of the funk that I was in at that moment in time. Yeah, my mug is bigger than my head, especially when I do that. It looks like it is. It's not actually bigger than my head, but because you're seeing it like that, it looks like it is. So the reason I got into coaching was because I was being coached. And for me, being coached transformed my life, because up until that point, as I said, I was blaming my external world for everything. I was very much a victim of the world and how the world was treating me, and it was the fault of the world. It was never my fault. It was nothing to do with me. It was to do with the external world, right? And how the world was treating me. So yeah, so I blamed the external world. I blamed my working environment, so left there. Had previously been blaming a guy, so obviously left him, and so on and so forth. I constantly was blaming the external world. And one of the things that coaching and the world of personal development opened up to me at that point was the realization of how much of a victim myself and other people, and how many of us actually play the victim a lot in the world. And coaching gave me the opportunity to see that nothing was making me feel that way. It was me and my thinking, and the way that I was thinking about me, about other people, about the situation, that was impacting and creating what I was feeling at that moment in time. So for me, that was what was important, and that's why coaching turned things around. I started to think better, I think in a far more helpful way, which then impacted me feeling better about myself. Let me know if that's making sense, by the way. There's lots of emojis coming in. So then I had no intention whatsoever of heading out into coaching and becoming a coach, because I didn't, even though I was being coached, I didn't actually perceive it as a job or a career, a profession. And my coach said to me very quickly in the first few sessions that I had, you know, have you been reading up on personal development and self-help? Have you been going on any courses or anything? And I was like, no, why would I be doing that? You're the one who's meant to be fixing me, because that's how I perceived it at that time. And he said to me that maybe I need to go and look into it, because I'd actually been coaching him for the last 10 minutes or so. I was just actually answering the questions, asking questions, and to me, that seemed normal, but obviously it wasn't. And so he recommended that I go and look into coaching, and that's how it came about, basically. And even when I was studying through all the courses I did as a coach, I never once, thank you for all the hearts and the loves that are coming in, I never once thought about being a coach. It was when my case studies, because when you're training as a coach, you need to have case studies, people that you're getting the opportunity to practice on, basically. And they started referring me to other people. And that's when I started to think that, well, I had phone calls from people, I want to book in, how much do you charge? And it was a bit like, oh, I get to charge for this? All right, okay. So it was a bit of a weird realization for me at that moment, that I had an opportunity to do something different. And again, still didn't really think about it that much. It just sort of happened. So for any of you who have thought about getting a coach, I know obviously I'm biased, but I would highly recommend it because of the changes and the impact that it can have. And if there is any of you out there that are contemplating training as a coach, please don't email me or message me to ask me what courses I would recommend, because I don't know enough about any of the courses that are out there now. It was like 15, 16 years ago that I trained as a coach, and the police doesn't do it in the same way now that I did it, so I can't comment on their course. And some of the other people that I trained with are not even in business anymore, so I can't comment on that. So yeah, please don't ask me about that. But that's how I got into coaching. And why did I get into coaching? I suppose because I'm lazy, and at that period in time, it seemed like the easy thing for me to do. So I got on and did it, and here I am 14 years this year later. I've been working as a coach full time. So it works for me. So that's one of the main. I can guarantee I get asked that pretty much every single time I do a talk or a workshop. So I thought I'd answer that one. And for those of you who are just joining, please do drop down and say hi, as all the wonderful ladies, and it's only been ladies so far, already have done that. Kate in the Stroud Valleys, not from wonderful Calcott Manor near Tetbury, not far from, I'm assuming that means. I actually don't know that part at all. I only know a little bit of the Cotswolds, but it is beautiful down there, really stunning. So if you do have a question, if you're watching live or you're watching on the recording, what is your question? This is an open forum this evening. So what questions do you have? Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, never set out to do it. Some 14 years, it feels, I'm finding it very odd to do references that are over a decade, whether it be to do with, I bumped into a lad that I went to school with at the weekend when I was down visiting family, and came away and said to my brother, oh, I just bumped into this particular person. And he said, oh, when was the last time you saw him? And I was like, oh, probably nearly 30 years ago. So I'm finding it a bit odd to reference things that far back, and especially when it's in relation to the business of being 14 years. Yes, not far, Kate. So, yes, type your questions in if you have them. If not, I will just ramble with the other two things that have come to mind. The third one has popped out of my head, so I'm hoping that might come back. That's what happens when you've got two things that you're focusing on, and the other one popped in earlier, and hopefully it'll pop back. But if not, I'm hoping that you guys might have some questions as well. So the other thing that I was actually messaged about something today, and somebody was asking me for recommendations. Oh, actually, let me ask you a question. Whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the recording, just put a Y or an N in the comments box below if you would find it helpful if I did book reviews. Would book reviews be helpful? A Y or an N in the comments below. That would be great. Either way, whether you're watching live or recorded, would book reviews be helpful? Y as in yes, or N as in no. Just drop that below. Thank you, Kate. Okay, so before I go on to that other one, Vicky's just asked me, what do I enjoy most or least about coaching? What do I enjoy least about coaching is more to do with running a business rather than the coaching itself, if I'm honest. Yes for book review. Okay, thank you, ladies. Keep those answers coming. Yes. Okay, lots. That'll be a yes then, unless anybody. Another one. Yes. Okay. So what do I enjoy least? So yeah, that's more about the admin side of running a business. So the whole sorting out appointments, invoices, marketing. I love, for example, running live events. I absolutely love running live events. And if you are somebody on here that's ever done live events, even if you've hosted a party, you'll know the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes. And whilst I love doing live events, I'm not so keen on all the work that goes in behind the scenes of getting the events on. However, I have literally in the last few weeks started work with a rather lovely VA. So who knows, as we go through things and I hand over more stuff to her, maybe there'll be more headspace and I'll be able to find the headspace to love that stuff even more. What do I enjoy most? It's the light bulb moments. That's what I love about coaching, is the light bulb moments and supporting people to see themselves or situations and think about themselves in a different way, and watching their faces shift as they suddenly, it's that, oh, I never thought of it that way before. It's that. And very often I will start a session with a client, be that in person or be that on Skype, or even, well, not on the phone because I can't see it, but I can hear it in their tone. But those that I can see, whether it's video call or whether it's in person, I can see the difference in them facially. And some of them come in and it's kind of like a tired, scrumply, stressy kind of face. And as we go through the time that we're together, and this happens with both with the young kids as well, because I work with, at the moment, my youngest client is 12. My oldest client, I think, is in their 60s. I think so. It's just watching. It's watching like their face relax. It is like a non-plastic face surgery. It's amazing to watch. It's like their shoulders go from here to there in the matter of the time that we're conversing. So that's my most favorite thing. You're just going to say I need a VA or a PA. Yeah, absolutely. It took me ages to find one, Vicky. You would not believe. It's because you're too busy and I couldn't steal you. That would be wrong. Kate says, absolutely. I love calling in the one. It's amazing. So Kate, it's interesting that you bring that book up in particular. I have gone through that book a number of times with very different intents, as in TS, not SE. And every time I've had phenomenal experiences. So Kate, what I would love to know, either direct message me if you don't want to put this live on the call, because I totally get that. Would you mind sharing what your results have been from going through Calling in the One? Because interestingly enough, that is one of the books that I was thinking about reviewing, as well as a couple of other books that I recommend very, very frequently. So now I've got a go ahead from you all. I shall start doing that and putting that in place. Yeah, it's rewarding as far as I'm concerned, Vicky. I feel I feel blessed to be doing this work. I absolutely love it, and yeah, it's a joy. Yeah, it's nothing more to say about it other than it's a joy. So I've answered that question. If anybody else has got any other questions that they would like, then please do chuck your thoughts down there. And in fact, I am going to put this one out here very, very quickly. For those of you that are mums of daughters, and for those of you that are daughters, would you be interested, again, with a Y or a no, a Y or a no, Y or an N, would you be interested in a mother and daughters workshop? I can't give you any more information than that at the moment, but if the answer is yes, then we've got a little survey that we're putting together to get clarity on what it is that we will be doing. This goes back to doing the live events, you see, I'm not doing it on my own. Then I'll send you that personally so that you can complete. That's just a little survey so that we can clarify things. But if you are a mum of a daughter or daughters, or if you are a daughter, would you be interested in a mother and daughters workshop? Yes, a Y or an N for no. That would be great to know that too. Okay, so back to the other question that I was going to answer earlier. I was sent a question around, somebody was asking for, I think she phrased it as a positive journal. Yes, but your mother doesn't speak English. Okay, that makes sense, Tiffany. she was asking, I think it was asking for a positive journal or a gratitude journal, and said that she'd been searching and there were so many to choose from that she didn't know what to do. Hey, Rob, how nice to have you here, sir. And so my response was I couldn't recommend any because I don't use one and I haven't used one. So it's not something I never recommend something unless it's something that I use a lot, or have used and really love. So hence why I was talking about Calling in the One, because I've used that a number of times, so I would recommend it. So I found it very interesting because I have emailed this person back. If you're watching, then please do feel free to comment. But what I wanted to know was specifically what she thought a gratitude journal, a positive journal, would bring that just a normal journal. I'm looking around to see if I've got my bullet journal here, but I haven't. Would bring. And I haven't yet had an answer from that, so I don't know what the purpose is. But for those of you who don't really know what the question is about and don't really know what a gratitude journal is about, or the purpose of doing one, I thought I would give you a bit of information about that, because I don't at the moment write a gratitude journal, but I do a gratitude practice every day. A gratitude journal is basically where you take the time every day to write down what you're grateful for. And to me, it's not about I'm grateful for and then writing a list. It's about saying thank you and having gratitude for whatever it is that you have, but writing out the whole sentence. So for me at the moment, my gratitude is very much focused around my health, having had the experiences that I did last year. And yes, there's still stuff to be looking at and working on. And yet I still every day say thank you for my health, and I'm very specific about which areas and what it is around my health. But you can be grateful for anything, be grateful for your legs to getting you to work, or your car, or the public transport, or I have gratitude for the fact that I had food in my freezer that I could come home and heat up very quickly. I can have gratitude for all sorts of things, that the art equipment that's spread out behind my computer that you can't see, and I'm not going to show you, because that gives me the opportunity to do what I want to do. And so for me, when this particular person was asking about what gratitude journal or positive journal, I can't remember how she framed it now, was asking for, which one would I recommend rather, I wasn't clear on what it was that would give, other than if you use a normal journal, just a notebook of any description, and actually just write down what you're grateful for. And if you don't do that practice, I would really recommend it. And I would recommend writing it out, especially for a good period of time before you just go into vocalizing it and thinking about it. But although that is still a good practice. So is there anybody that does use a positive journal or gratitude journal of any description that you could recommend? Kate says, I believe it explains the law of attraction in the most powerful way. It breaks it down with great insight and explains a lot about self-love, which, as we know, is so important. I'm still reading it, but so far it's extremely poignant at this time in my life. Thank you so much for your recommendation. Oh, it was my recommendation. I also have a journal. Oh, brilliant. It shows you how much I remember. So that's wonderful, Kate, especially the bit about self-love. That's why I love that book, because so many people go into it thinking it's about relationships, as in finding your ideal love, and it's just not. It's about so much more than that, which is really cool. So that's we're coming up to time, but has anybody got even any other questions? I realize it's been a bit sporadic this evening. I put my skills to practice, Jules. The ripple effect worked for me every morning for the last week. I've been going into work and saying, morning, everyone. I walk past or come into contact during my day. At first, I was ignored, but I've stuck at it. I've added a smile on the end of my second day of attempts, and this encouraged a couple to respond and say hello and good thanks. Today I went to work and said hello and how are you to everyone with a smile, and at the end, a smile at the end, and everyone said it to me before I had the chance to say it, even if they were pleasant. That is awesome, Rob. What a lovely practice to have put into place, and that ripple effect. And you know what? Whilst smiling is infectious and you can catch it like the flu, if it's inappropriate or if you're somebody who's not comfortable with smiling, something that you can practice is imagine that you've got a big smile behind your eyes. Because even if you can't smile here, because sometimes it's not appropriate, you can practice smiling from your eyes and imagine these two wonderful cheesy grins or little emoji smiley faces there. And that can have an amazing impact on people as well. That's wonderful, Rob. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. Vicky says, the journal is such a go away emojis. You're blocking my route. I'll definitely start one of those, as it's easy to forget all that you're grateful for, even the little things like going to Australia, having family in Australia, the plane that got you there and back safely, the weather, whatever it may be. That's awesome. I love the fact that you're doing that, Vicky. Let me know how it goes. Emily Jane says, hi, Emily. Don't think I know that name. I just use a plain notebook, but do a 5-year diary I use for gratitude journal. Fascinating to look back. Yeah, I've got one of those 5-year diaries. I don't do my gratitudes writing in there, but it is an interesting reflection, especially the amount that's happened in the last few years of me doing mine. So I can get that. I really do get that. So whether you are watching this live or on the recording, I hope that you have found this evening interesting. I love the conversation. I love the interaction that we've had this evening. I'm very grateful for those of you who take the time. Especially, I'm grateful for those of you who take the time to type in, especially if you're watching this on your phone. Because if that was me trying to type, honestly, my friends would tell you this. If I was trying to type and do this as an interaction, the typos that would be on there would be phenomenal, honestly. So not only am I grateful for your interaction, I am really grateful for you taking the time to type, because my guess is the majority of you are watching this on your phone. I could be wrong, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I think the term is smize, smile with your eyes. I love that. I've never heard that, so thank you. I appreciate that. Rob says, I must ask, how do you stay so thin having an office next to the York chocolate shop? Well, it's very easy, Rob. I'm not going to say I don't like chocolate, because that would be a lie. However, I don't like a lot of the chocolate that they have in there, because most of the chocolate is quite milky or white or high in sugar, and I am actually a dark chocolate girl. For those of you who want to send me chocolates, then you can to my office. Then that would be fantastic. Darker the better. Thank you very much. Oh yes, Emily Jane. Yes, now I've got you. I didn't recognise the name. Yeah, that's how I stay thin. Considering that I'm next to the York chocolate shop, but I have to say it is a challenge having an office. It's more of a challenge having an office in the city centre, where I can nip out to get probably anything that I want to eat. That's more of a challenge. And in actual fact, my challenge is more because I, for my health reasons, am cutting out various different foods and adding different foods in, because of the things that the changes that I want to make there. So the challenge is actually that, and some of the others of you may relate to this, is that if I'm not careful, I can go into the office at 8 o'clock in the morning and not leave till 6 o'clock in the evening, and not actually have gone out during the day, because I'll have taken my lunch in with me, and then I'll just sit there and stay there throughout the whole day. So my challenge is actually making sure that I get out during the day, and go for, even if I go for a walk around the town, just to get some fresh air, because I think otherwise I get locked onto a screen, and I don't think that's helpful or healthy for anybody. So what a wonderful flurry of interactions from you all. Very much appreciated. And in advance, saying thank you to those of you who watch this on the recording. I know there's a lot of you that have told me that you watch this on a Tuesday morning. So good morning to you. And from people all around the world. So I think I've picked up, I don't think there's any comments that I've missed. If I have missed your comment, then I really do apologise. I haven't got the topic for next week in front of me because I'm at home and not in the office. It is the 1st of April, and it is no joke. It's no April Fool. We will be doing the live next week, so make sure that you're here. And if you have a specific topic or question or thought that you would really like to bring, then please do let me know. And I shall do everything I can to incorporate that in what I'm doing. So thank you again for joining me this evening, and I look forward to catching up with you next week. And in the meantime, believe in yourself, smize, and enjoy life, because you never know when none of us ever know when it could be our last day. So why not be grateful for the day that we have? And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye now.